Hey everybody, welcome to the very first 514 Kids online Sunday. This is January 3rd. The new year's here and we are so excited to have you guys join us. We have a brand new big idea because it's a new month, and that is responsibility. Responsibility is proving you can be trusted with what is expected of you. That is a tough gig, right? How many of you guys have responsibility at home? You probably have to take out the trash or clean your room or vacuum or maybe do the dishes. Or how many of you guys have pets? Right? Pets are a perfect example of responsibility. This is my pet right here. This is Emery. She's the greatest dog in the world, and she is my best friend. And she is so amazing at so many things, but she is a lot of work. She has to be taken out to go to the bathroom. She has to eat. She has to do all of these things. She needs walks. She needs brushed out so all of her fur doesn't get these stuff. Believe it or not, guys, she doesn't pick up her toys or put any of her toys back. Guys, having a pet is a lot of work, right? And just like having a pet is a lot of work and takes a lot of responsibility, believing in Jesus actually takes a lot of responsibility. You may ask, what are we responsible for, right? God has done so many amazing things. What does it mean to live a life that God wants us to live? And that's a great question. In fact, Jesus actually answered this in the Bible. You see, Jesus was traveling around and he was teaching. About a week before Jesus died on the cross, he showed up into a town called Jerusalem and everybody cheered, but Jesus knew that not everybody was happy. In fact, there were religious leaders called Pharisees, and they weren't happy at all. And so they were approaching Jesus as he was teaching a crowd, and they had a question for him. And they were actually trying to trick Jesus. They said, Jesus, what is the one rule that we all should live by? Now, this is a trick question because, guys, back then, the Jewish people had about 613 laws, and then they also had laws that made sure they kept this 613 laws. So there was a lot of laws. And let's look in Matthew chapter 22 and see what Jesus said, shall we? It says in Matthew 22, verse 36 through 40, it says, "Teacher, what is the most important commandment in the law?" Right? Remember, this is a trick question. Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and love him with all of your mind. This is the first and the most important commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Everything that is written in the law and the prophet is based on these two things." Okay, so the Pharisee was trying to trick Jesus, and he just blew his mind. He said, this is the most important thing, right? To love God and to love people. That sounds really easy, right? But in reality, it's a lot harder than that. Because we sin, we want to do things that we want to do instead of doing things that God wants us to do, and people can be hard to love. And right now, guys, 2020 is a crazy year, right? Our schools have been turned upside down. We can't see our friends. We can't see our family. Holidays look weird. We don't know if we're going to be learning online or we're going to be learning in person. Everything is difficult for a lot of people right now. And people have done an amazing job throughout this year of showing up in a big way. And I'm going to give you a few examples of people that have done really amazing things in 2020. Guys, think about nurses and doctors. They were just living their lives, and then all of a sudden, they have to deal with it on the front lines, people getting really, really sick. Now, what if the nurses and doctors were all like, oh, well, I don't want to get sick, so I'm not going to go to work? Who would take care of any of the sick people? Guys, that is a great example of doing what God says and loving other people. What about your teachers? Your teachers have done a really, really good job of making sure that you guys have what you need, and they're working so hard, and they're trying to figure out new things all of the time. What about your parents? Your parents have had to sacrifice a lot. Guys, sometimes our parents have even lost their jobs, but they're making sure that you guys have everything that you need to keep going. That is an amazing job of loving people, right? Guys, there's an organization that we work with here at 514 that is doing something incredible for people in other countries. There's an organization called 117, okay? 117 International. And what they do is they build schools for people in poor countries that can't afford to get good education or good food, and they provide food and they provide education. And so they are doing an incredible job helping kids in Haiti and kids in Cambodia. That is doing what God asked, loving Him and loving other people. You might be asking, well, I'm just a kid. What can I do? And the answer is simple as that. Love God and love people. You can make a difference by doing those two things. In fact, that is our bottom line today. That is your responsibility, to love God and to love people. Why don't you practice that this week, and I'll see you next time.